You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today. But before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. And let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode, music episode for you today. We've done a lot recently of musical episodes in Oklahoma, but we're going to talk a little bit about music. We're also going to talk about a cafe and some coffee. But my podcast guest today is Mr. Greg Upchurch, who, if you Google him, you will know he is a drummer. He played in Three Doors Down and Puddle of Mud, went to UCO, and yeah, has a lot of cool stuff going on. But thanks so much for your time. Before we dive into all the music stuff, what's current life like? What have you been up to?
Being in Oklahoma a lot, and I forget about the weather. Like how it changes from one day to the next. But I've been pretty much in Oklahoma working on the coffee shop, trying to get it ready because we're about to go on tour. So trying to get the finishing touches, I guess, the best I can.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. Then, a lot of things you've got to get in line, and employees, and I mean, all of that stuff, right? Probably all the things that most people don't think of. It's all the little things that, it's not just making coffee.
Yeah, I'm just finding out the little things now, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more worried I get. But I just try breathe, keep breathing, and I'll be okay. I mean, I need to play in front of people just so I can go back to normal life, because that's my normal life, is doing that. Yeah. This is like a fish out of water kind of thing, but I'm enjoying it. I mean, I love it. It's been just as gratifying as anything else I've ever experienced, really.
Yeah, like that's what's kind of, it's the opposite for you than it is for most people, right? You're comfortable in your place of zen and peace is on stage in front of thousands of people. Opening a coffee shop for you is probably like, wow, I'm really nervous. Whereas most people would walk out in front of a crowd on stage and think, I can't even speak, Yeah,
it's definitely polar opposite. Playing shows doesn't bother me. I mean, I've been doing it for so long, But I'm more worried, how's your coffee? Not it's kind of listen to this song I wrote. Now it's what do you think of the coffee? I don't know if he really likes it. He's just saying that he likes it. I hope he thinks it's delicious. I hope he loves this song. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good overall reaction. But it's definitely a different nervousness. Like I said, I'll be more relaxed when I'm going on stage and those kinds of things. I'm more in my comfort zone.
Yeah. So let's go back then. Let's start with the music and where drumming comes a part of your life and all that. And we will get to, the coffee shop on the back end. But tell me a little bit about kind of your upbringing, how you get into music, first memories of playing drums and just kind of that whole, how does that fall into place?
Well, I mean, growing up in a small town, in Oklahoma, one red light kind of thing. I don't ever remember starting the drums. I just remember being able to just do it and just like it made sense to me. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I got like a Kiss record, I think, when I was like 6 years old or something, and I was mesmerized by it and listened to it and had a record player. And I mean, and it went on from there, and I just fell in love with it. I never took any lessons because there was nobody here really that taught lessons. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of learned on my own. And obviously this is before YouTube and all those things. So I would go get these VHS tapes, instructional videos, and I'd look and I'd work on it and I'd learn it. But I had really good band directors in Kingston. I had two really good ones, Rick Roach and Bill Taylor. And I think that I like to think that they saw something in me, like I could do something with this. Because with this industry and music, what I've found is how do I phrase this? It's not based on your talent alone. Because if it was the case, I mean, it'd be the best musicians in every band. You have to write the songs. That's one thing, step one. And two, just be able to, in my case, don't speed up, don't slow down, and be pleasant to get along with. I mean, really, like I tell, people all the time, don't be an addict and don't be, and I mean, everything will work out usually if you follow those two things. But I grew up in Oklahoma wanting to be like in rap, or Motley Crue. I'd be washing dishes and have my headphones on. And I got a scholarship in jazz music at the University of Central Oklahoma in Edmond. And I moved to Edmond I graduated on Saturday and I was gone on Sunday. I mean, my car was packed and ready to go. So I moved to Edmond and I went to school there and I was in the jazz program on scholarship. And then I started gigging a lot, like in what is now, Bricktown really wasn't a thing back then. Nobody went to Bricktown. But we went to Campus Corner in Norman a lot. I played all the bars around there, VZDs, Topanga. There used to be Samurai Sake House. I played all those places. But I was doing like 4 nights a week. Mm-hmm. And my grades were really failing me, so to speak. So I ended up losing my scholarship. But I thought I was rich. I was making $100 a night playing drums, 91 or 92, And then I had a friend of mine that moved to Los Angeles. He played bass in the band, one of the bands in the city. And he moved to Los Angeles about a year earlier. And he called me. He's like, yeah, you should come out here. We need a drummer in my funk band. You can move to LA. You can live here in an apartment with me and my roommate. And I can get you a job in Hollywood because he worked at a music store. And I was thinking, well, why not? I don't know. And I called my dad. And my dad was like, if you're going to do it now. That's what I remember him saying that. And so I packed up all my stuff in 90. It was right after, I know this sounds weird, but it was right after the Bronco chase. Those used to be the Bronco chase. Because I remember watching that in VZDs. I remember that's like the last thing I saw, my gig in Oklahoma City. And then, and literally, and this is what's crazy, how the world works, is the day before I moved the day I'm moving to Los Angeles, I stopped off at a place called Sound Warehouse because the night before on a show called Beavis and Butthead, I saw this band called 11. And I remember watching it. And of course, Beavis and Butthead's ragging on it, doing what they do, And then I saw the video a little later that night on a show called 120 Minutes. When people watched MTV, that was the only way you got music videos and things. So I picked up that cassette on my drive to Los Angeles, on my move. And then I listened to it probably a good 10 times, and I really liked it. And so I listened to that on the way. I moved in with these two guys. I lived slept on an air mattress behind a couch. And I worked in Hollywood. This was in North Hollywood, which is different. You got to go over the hill and then you get into Hollywood from North Hollywood. I found that out. I was like, I'm in Hollywood. No, you're in North Hollywood. There's a difference. So I was working at Guitar Center in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard. And I'm working in the drum department, and these two people walked in from that band, 11. And I was like, hey, I immediately went over to them, hey, can I help you out? What can I do? And they had mentioned that I talked about how much I love their band. They mentioned their drummer quit and he joined Pearl Jam. And this was probably 94, something like that. And I was like, I know all your stuff. And I'm fresh from Oklahoma. No style, no nothing. Look, country boy, Kingston, And there's two of them. There's two other people. She's from Moscow and he's from Chile. But they lived in Hollywood and they were rock stars. They looked like rock stars, And they called me up for an audition and I went and auditioned. And I remember they played some weird, like odd time stuff, but I had that jazz music education in Edmond. So I could figure it out. And I was able to play with them and keep up with them. And they called me a couple of weeks later. I already thought I lost that. I didn't get the gig. And then they called me and I got the gig. And the first thing out of the box was like, we're going to go open up for Soundgarden for 6 weeks in Europe. I'm like, what? I mean, I've never been to, I was stunned. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. It was us and Moby. Do you remember Moby?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was doing a punk rock thing at the time and Soundgarden. And this was 95, 96. And we did 6 weeks of Europe, and I'm driving the minivan in Barcelona and Prague and like Bologna, Milan. I'm driving this minivan, following this tour bus, and it was like incredible. And I'm hanging out with Soundgarden, like the catering, and hanging out in the hotel bars with them because we're staying in the same hotels all the time. They paid for us to go. Soundgarden was fans of the band. We weren't even on a label. They paid for us to all our expenses. It was crazy. And gave me a salary out of their budget. And so we did that tour, and then Soundgarden broke up. Well, Chris left Soundgarden, and he did a solo record, and we did his solo record. We recorded it, and then we ended up doing 2 years touring on that record. So, I'm in a band with Chris Cornell, for Christ's sake. I'm at this point, I'm like 26, and like, now that I'm 51, I look at him like 26-year-old doing that. It's kind of crazy. So I did that. And then we were actually going to start a band. I mean, we were thinking of band names. I mean, Chris was going to be singing. We were going to be this band. And then I remember coming one day after the tour had been done for a while, I went back. And the woman in the band from Russia, she was crying. And I was like, what happened? And she looked at me and she's like, I don't know if I can say it, but she's like, Audio Slave. I'm like, Audio Slave? What's that? She goes, that's a band he's in with Rage Against the Machine. I'm like, oh my God. And I felt gutted because like I called my friends and told them we were starting this band. Mm. And then all of a sudden, Audio Slave. I'm like, oh my God. So that's how that affected me, that whole thing,
Yeah. And
so that was a big deal. And I'm like, we tried the 11th thing. We did another tour with Queens of the Stone Age. Mm-hmm. And they were still pretty new. It was their second record they were touring. And that was a lot of fun. And then I got an audition for a band called Puddle of Mud. And I'd never heard of them at this point. This is 99, 2000, somewhere in there. And I got that gig. And then, of course, that band just blew up. Mm-hmm. And we did about 4 years I was in the band for about 4.5 years, close to 5 years. And then we did a tour with Three Doors Down mm-hmm. and Nickelback. There was the three of us. And at some point during the tour, Nickelback had talked the drummer for Three Doors Down to leave Three Doors Down and join Nickelback. I mean, I didn't know any of this, but I guess they were like, courting him, so to speak. But he was Canadian, and they're Canadian, so it made sense. I mean, when you look at it, and I'm actually born in Louisiana, so I'm kind of close to Mississippi. I got Cajun family background, but I showed up to the drum audition in a camouflage Saints hat, and they were like, "Uh-oh, you might have already got the gig." But they'd already seen me play with Puddle because of the tour and stuff, and I pretty much had the gig. I hate to sound like that, but it's just they just wanted to confirm it and meet me and play. And so I got that gig, and then I've been in that with Three Doors Down now for 18 years. Wow. So it's crazy to think that I'm still doing what I love to do when I was 9 years old, and that's wild. Yeah. And in music years, this is like, 18 years in one band, and they've been together not that much longer than that, but just that's a long time in this industry to be able to continue to play shows and, have people, selling out venues, singing 80% of our songs.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, but in a nutshell, that's kind of my story. A lot of crazy shit happened in between that. There's a lot of tons of tidbits that I'll save for the book one day.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the synopsis of everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things, right? Like, the fact that you call your dad and say, hey, what do you think? And he's like, you're going to go. Now's the time to go, right? And if he hadn't have said that, then none of that would have happened, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If he just said, I don't think it's a good idea, blah blah blah, something, because, and I'm thinking about it, and he told me that once. He's like, it's okay to be broke when you're 22. Mm-hmm. It's not okay to be broke when you're 42. Mm-hmm. The difference. And I just try not to put too much pressure on myself to grow up too fast. I need to experience things, and it's good. Like I said, it's good to struggle and be broke to understand what a dollar means and what success is. I mean, because I've had several versions of like, I made it. My first time on stage over for Soundgarden, I made it. Then, that tour's over. I had to go back and get my job again. Mm-hmm. Go back, and then all of a sudden I'm playing Chris Cornell. Now I've made it. I'm on a tour bus. I'm not driving the van. I made it. Well, that's ended. I had to go back and get a day job painting houses. And so I've had all these ups and downs. And I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way, because if I would have had that career trajectory of like being successful right at a young age and just maintaining that, I mean, I can see where people get a little psychological because they don't understand reality and to some degree. Not everyone, but, I look at people like Michael Jackson, who just kind of like became this huge star at like 10 or whatever. And he just kind of stayed at that age. I mean, he never knew what home economics, I can't pay the gas bill. I can't, you know what I mean? Like the things that we all usually struggle with. And when you don't know what that means, it's kind of hard to, what do you mean you're broke? I don't understand. That's a weird mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's, and it's, the kind of, because you've been doing it for so long and you've gone through so many different phases and the industry's gone through so many different phases, right? Sometimes there's loads of money in it and rock music is kind of the thing, right? And then it's not. And it's, it's.
Well, I feel like I've gone the way of the coal miner in a way, because like my industry, when I was growing up, you made money, you were rich and famous and all this stuff. And because I got a taste of it, with Puddle of Mud. There wasn't really downloads and things in the late 90s, early 2000s where you bought CDs or whatever, and then kind of Napster hit. And then I remember it was a big hubbub and Lars Ulrich making that whole mess about it. But you weren't stopping that train, it just, it came and it came fast, and it just took away a lot of people's livelihoods as far as like now. I mean, we have to go out and tour to make any sort of, something substantial. I mean, substantial meaning like pay our basic bills.
Right. Make an income. Yeah. Have a
right. My royalty checks aren't, I'm not paying a mortgage on that. You know what I mean? Like, but like I said, I didn't write Kryptonite. I didn't write She Hates Me. I didn't write any of that stuff. But that's, the difference in what my occupation, my instrument is.
Yeah.
I mean, I write stuff, but nothing that's been a hit, that it takes to, you got to write a hit to make it, make an income on royalties from Spotify or YouTube or what have you.
Right.
But you have to sell merchandise. You have to, hustle still.
Yeah. And you mentioned like the tour. You got the tour coming up this year. When is it? Is it June? It starts first date in Baltimore. Is that right? Yeah,
I want to say it's June 12th or June 14th. I don't know. I hope that's But it starts in Baltimore, and it goes everywhere in the country except Oklahoma and Nebraska.
Yeah.
And like straight up like Kansas, Nebraska, like South Dakota, North Dakota. No shows right up in there, but everywhere else pretty much. I think it's 49 shows.
Yeah.
It'll be about close to 4 months, which will be good. I mean, we'll do these one-offs, we call them. Like we'll go fly do a show or fly do a couple shows 1 month, And it's just hard to get in a rhythm. And when you're on tour, it just makes it so much easier. You just kind of get in this cycle. Your playing gets better. The band gets tighter. The crews, they're getting more things locked down, from the sound man, the lighting guy, the techs even. Everybody gets more dialed in. So it gets in a good rhythm.
Yeah. Yeah. And clearly, I mean, you said you're 51 years old. You clearly enjoy it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it, still.
I just don't know what else to do. I mean, other than this thing here, but it's like... it is like, I think I was like, not until like 44 or something, like, well, I guess I'm a drummer. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I guess this is it, because I've always thought in my head, like, well, I'm going to have to do something else at some point. I want to have to do something else. And then I wasn't going to work at Lowe's. I mean, no offense to anybody that does, but I'm just saying, I want to do something. And that's when this whole coffee shop thing is like bringing something back home to my small town, so the young kids here can see, like, don't sell yourself short and think that you can't do something because of where you're from. Everybody's from somewhere. I mean, it's up to you to go out and get it. It really, everything is attainable. In a country like this, way that, the freedoms that we have, that you can go move anywhere in the country, you can go to where the work is, whether it's Los Angeles or whether it's Nashville or New York or Chicago, Dallas, whatever city it is, depending on what industry it is that you're looking to do. You have to just go get it.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line.
Yeah. Was it pretty important to you to come back to Kingston and have it in Kingston rather than doing it in Oklahoma City or somewhere else?
This is the only place that makes sense.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, I love this little community, and it's tiny, but it's beautiful. It's got a great lake. It's a resort town, a lot of fishing, and I like to fish. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani have a house here. I mean, that's pretty good, not to say like they know what, oh my God, they live here, or they know everything, but I'm just like, it's pretty good. Yeah. They don't live in Lawton. You know what I mean? No offense to Lawton, but I'm just saying, I've been to Lawton. But, we got a lake. But no, I mean, I wanted to also, my mom's 86. I wanted to do something while she's around. I mean, she's fine, but I just wanted to get close with her and ask her every question I can think of and just be around her as much as I can. Because this is the longest I've ever been away from my wife and my son. And it's been hard. I have a hard time with that. And I'm sure they do too. But when I go on tour, it's kind of nice that we leave Tuesday evening. We'll go to the bus, get on the bus, we'll play Wednesday, day off Thursday, play Friday, Saturday, come home Sunday. Be home Sunday and Monday, all day Tuesday, and then leave Tuesday night, same thing. So I'm home 3 days every week. Yeah,
that's really helpful.
That's the appeal of Nashville in this industry, is that we can play New York, be in New York overnight. We could be in Florida overnight. We could be in Dallas. We could be in Detroit. Other than the West Coast, we can hit just about any city overnight and be home the following day if need be.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it nice, that central location.
Yeah, that's super helpful, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The family and, all that stuff going on. And it's, so the coffee shop then, let's dive into that. When did that become an idea? And obviously, you thought that there was only one place for it. So you kind of knew it was coming home. And then, it's called the Rockin Goat Cafe, right? I mean, where does the name come from? And let's dive into all that.
Well, my mom owns this building that we're in. Mm-hmm. And it was nothing in it really. I mean, there's storage kind of, but I wanted to do something with it, and I wasn't sure. I didn't know what to do really, and thought about it, and I was like, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I got sober about 9 years ago, and I'm addicted to coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's no coffee here. And then I started going to coffee shops in Nashville. And like, one was a house, one was like an old cabin, and they had a coffee shop kind of set up in there. I'm like looking around, and I'm like, maybe I could do something like this. It's not like a full restaurant, but there's customers. I mean, Starbucks has done it. I mean, I love it. I mean, every time I go to Starbucks, I mean, you sit there and you look, it just doesn't stop as far as customers all day, especially in the mornings when you get those rushes. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of like the weird, like things like the universe pulling me towards this, I was sitting with my friends, and that's when they were like, we started kind of like, I had a day off. We were on tour with Collective Soul, and I was at my buddy's house with another friend. It was Joe and Melinda, friends of mine since I was little here in Oklahoma. And they're like, yeah, well, you put all your gold records and all your stuff in there. And it's like, oh, cool. That'll give it like a vibe, give it like a theme. And then that kind of like, it started to kind of snowball into what more things we can do and what cool things we can do with that. Let's put a record player in there. I'll have music, and I can do the songwriting thing. I can have songwriters get together. I'm just really going crazy thinking of these different ideas. And Melinda, she was trying to come up with names, and she had one called the Dancing Goat. And I was like, okay, the Dancing Goat. I'm like, my favorite coffee shop that I've ever been to is in Healdsburg, California, called the Flying Goat. I'm like, okay, the Dancing Goat. So what does Dancing Goat mean? I don't even know. It's got to be something with goats. So I look it up, and I guess the fable is that goats and the Ethiopian goat herders, when they would go up, the goats would eat the little cherries, the coffee cherries, and they would look like they were dancing. Mm-hmm. And then they discovered caffeine basically in these cherries. And so I was like, okay, well, I get it. So the Dancing Goat. My first thought is like, well, is there a Dancing Goat? Is there another Dancing Goat? So I look, and I found one, and the address was in Kingston, United Kingdom, on Beverly Road. And my mom's name is Beverly, and she's the one who gave me this building, and now in Kingston. So I'm like, well, that's the name. So I had shirts printed up. I was about to open, and then I got a cease and desist from a place called the Dancing Goats in Tacoma, Washington. And I somehow overlooked that one. And I was like, mine was Greg's Dancing Goat, and theirs was the Dancing Goats. And I'm like, can I fight this? Should I fight this? Because I already, I thought about it. I was like, I only got about really I printed shirts up. I didn't open yet. I didn't really invest too much in it. So I'm like, well, I can just change it and just call it a day. And then I'm like, the German Goat, the Smoking Goat, the Drinking Goat, and then Rockin Goat. And I was like, it's got to be music themed. And I was like, fine. I'm like, what's in the name? I was in a band called Puddle of Mud. What really, like, Three Doors Down, what the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, what's in a name? Really just try to make, it's the goat. That makes it memorable, I guess, more so. Yeah. It doesn't tongue as well, but still, it's fine. It gets the job done.
Right.
And my location, there's not a lot of goats of any sort, so I'm okay. But that's how that name became a thing, is the coincidences. And then about about the same time, a guy comes in here. His name's J.D. Smith. And he grew up here. He's younger than me. I mean, so I graduated years before him. I don't know exactly how much younger, but we didn't bump into each other when I lived here. But he was like, I had talked to him about it because I knew he roasted coffee and about using his coffee in the shop. Well, he came in, he's like, hey, you should roast here. I was like, yeah, okay. And he's like, yeah, I could bring my roaster up and we could roast here. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, and he owns a coffee farm. He lives on a coffee farm in Bolivia. And so that's where he is now, but he still comes up, here. His parents live here. And so we're basically getting his coffee beans from his farm direct to us. So there's no
middleman and all the nonsense.
I mean, he's actually flown on the plane, checked bags of coffee in. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think we have 3 more bags and they're in his rental car, in his car at the airport. Like, that's where our next 3 bags are. So we're totally like startup.
Mm.
But we've had a lot of success, especially here, and having the fact that we roast our coffee, days before you, maybe even the day before we roasted it and you're drinking it here. You know what I mean? So that's a big advantage. And we make our own K-cups. We have our own bags of coffee. We produce everything here in-house. Got our website. We ship all over the country right now. So, I mean, it's been 6 months now. I think we've been open. I think so. And we're about to hit our summer here. And that's when the population quadruples here this summer. And I'm the only game in town when it comes to the coffee shop. So, I mean, they've got like a drive-through place in another town over, and there's Starbucks and stuff. And because I've met people that drive 20 miles to Starbucks when they're here in the summer for coffee. I'm like, wow, so I'm like, I got them. I'm not where they're coming here. But like I said, I'm like trying to get this thing as streamlined as I can because when I'm gone, I'll be gone for 4 months. But I've got the right people in place, I think, and kind of set it and forget it and just hope for the best. And because now you can order everything through Amazon or a web store. There's websites in order to have them delivered to your place, which has changed the game as far as being in a small town. I remember like having to go to Dallas because you needed like a wing nut for a cymbal stand or something. You know what I mean? Like now you just have it shipped from Amazon in 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's epic, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So which, you mentioned being sober 9 years and getting into coffee, and what is your kind of, we can dive down the rabbit hole for a little bit on your, what style of coffee you like the best. It's now become an addiction, right? And now a business. So, what is it that you prefer and get into, and, are you preparing it a certain way?
Well, we have one of our baristas that we have a special usually every season, and that's what we didn't plan on this. It's happened organically. She's like fantastic at making these syrups, these homemade syrups. So we made a peppermint one for Christmas. We had a chocolate covered strawberry for Valentine's, and we got an Irish cream for St. Patrick's Day. And the Irish cream's been very popular. Selling out of it pretty fast. And then we'll move on to another one, like for summer or late spring. And so I've been enjoying all that because I normally just drink Americanos, like espresso drinks, or just even a drip coffee. I like cold brew a lot now because I wasn't familiar with cold brew until about 3 years ago. And then I realized like there's twice as much caffeine in that coffee as in a regular cup. I'm like, oh my God. So that's what I'm drinking now. I'm drinking the cold brew. But I like the Irish cream's really tough to beat because it's really the alcoholic in me. It's like, I swear that I taste the whiskey in this,
Yeah.
But no, she does fantastic stuff. And we just started doing chicken salad sandwiches, this homemade, just in-house, limited availability. So we're selling out of it every time we do it. So that's been good.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're just kind of starting small and adding things as you go instead of just like, hey, we're now a cafe and we're doing breakfast and all the other stuff. It's building slowly.
But yeah, my thing is I'm not going to have a menu. I'm going to do one thing, make sure to do it good.
Yeah.
That's it. And I figured and I'm from here, and I know when I come here, it doesn't take but about 24 hours till I'm over it on my food options.
Yeah. You
got chicken fried steak, which is good, or something like diner style. You got cheeseburger, like Sonic or something. They got a Subway, which I can't stand. There's a fried chicken or a fish frying place that's only open Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and it's great, but still. Fried fish, fried hush puppies, French fries, fried this. So everything's fried and greasy. So my thing is like, I wanted to do something light, so I did a really good chicken salad with grapes and toasted pecans and a toasted croissant. So it's light and a side of grapes, not chips or fries. Because my thing is, my customer base is a lot of women, and especially in the summertime when they're going to be going to the lake and possibly putting on a bikini or a bathing suit or something like that, they might be more willing to get a chicken salad on a croissant than a double bacon cheeseburger. You know what I mean? So, so and there's a market here for that too, because there's not a lot of places that offer that, and it's good. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure it's really good and it's homemade. And we just started last week, and it was, like I said, a very positive response. And I'm curious to see what happens this weekend. You know, I mean, hopefully I can keep selling out. And I have to get more and make more. And then, you know, but I don't do it every day. I just do it on Wednesdays and Saturdays because it's got to have some exclusivity. What's the word? Exclusivity, I think, sort of. But it just because every day, plus, I mean, it would be way too much work because we need those days that we don't sell it so we can make it to sell it. So
yeah, you do it right. You got to do it right. It's got to be done the right way. And you're right. It kind of makes it special when you do have the days where you do have the chicken salad, and it's, you know, it becomes a thing then, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe Tuesdays will be avocado toast day, or so. I don't know. I mean, just that. Who knows what? Because I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just going forward. Like, what does this town need? What do I think? Listen to the customers. What do they like? Because it's not about what I like. What about what I want? It's like, what do they want?
Yeah.
How do I feel that need? And I brought up the chicken salad idea. I was like, I brought it up, and everybody, oh my God, that'd be great. And I kept getting that response. So I knew it was like, okay, I got to do this, but I just got to make sure I get it right and get it where people like it.
Yeah.
And it's not normal chicken salad, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes it special. So before we run out of time here, tell me where people can find it, and all, you know, and Instagram, social media, all the stuff, and you know, where they can go and buy not just coffee, but merch as well.
Well, we have a website, Greg's Rockin Goat, Rockin, not Rocking. So there's one G. So it's gregsrockingoat.com. And that's our website. And you can order our coffee, our bag coffee, our K-cups, T-shirts, tumblers, coffee mugs. I've got some new merch I'm starting because I just started having it pretty simple. And in store, I'm going to start some more summery type of things. Like I want to do some tank tops, you know, like these, start adding that kind of stuff. Getting feedback from the customers too, because my baristas at work here are really good about, you know, inquiring. They care about it because it's like, I got the coolest job in town.
Yeah. I
probably say that because we listen to vinyl records. We got a vibe. It smells like coffee. You know, it's a very good energy here. I mean, when people come in, they're just, I love watching like, especially if they don't know anything, they're like looking around and like, is the owner really into Three Doors Down? And like, they don't know, you know what I mean? Like, they figured it out. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're famous. I'm like, if I was famous, you would know who I was.
I was famous. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how famous is that, really?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, you might know somebody that knows who I am, but, you know, anyway.
Brilliant.
But I'm located in Kingston. I'm right at the red light, pretty much. 109, Highway 70, which is funny. Is like, if you take this Highway 70 and stayed on it and went east, it turns into Broadway in Nashville, where all the honky tonks are and Tootsies and all the night. Yeah, it's Highway 70. And if you took it, it's great. When I'm in Nashville, I'll talk to my friends and musician friends. I'm like, yeah, my coffee place, get on Broadway, make a right, and stay on it for 3 weeks. You'll be right to your left, right before you hit the red light. I mean, one of the times, but no, like I said, it's been slowly building, slowly getting more successful, and the community loves it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have the high school art class is gonna come down and paint. My whole sidewalk's gonna be piano keys.
Yeah, that's great.
And then I'm gonna tables out there. I want to get an awning, because the best advertisement, better than a sign, is people sitting at tables outside outside the building.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, what is that? Get it. So yeah, and then like I'm starting to see it. It's kind of contagion. It's kind of like I'm starting to see flowers across the street now. People starting to kind of like, I'm up in the game, so to speak. I like, that was kind of my hope, is that this town has so much potential to be super. And we just built a brand new casino. It opened up last week.
Yeah. So this is really going to revitalize the town then. It's going that way, right? It seems like, the plan is to bring in a lot more other things and maybe, just bring more travel dollars and stuff to the town of Kingston, right?
Well, yeah, my idea was hopefully to build a destination, not just a drive-by. Hey, there's a coffee shop. People come here for the coffee shop. And, I've been seeing that a little bit and a lot, because like I said, I got the vibe, and I got a story here. It's a business with a story. And then if I can, get people here, like I was thinking like on Tuesdays or something, have songwriter days where songwriters get together to write songs. Like if you walk into a coffee shop and see people in there writing a song, like it's kind of neat. You might want to hang out. At least I would, I'd be like, it's just something that's, like if people say, oh, if you ever go through Kingston, you got to go to this little crazy coffee shop. Mm-hmm. Like I want something like that, like a word of mouth kind of thing. Yeah. But who knows how big I can expand this. I'll just keep going.
Well, the good thing is you've got the coffee connection already, right? Like usually that's the hardest part sometimes, isn't it? Is getting a good coffee dealer, if you want to quote it that way. Yeah,
and I'm roasting it right on the other side of this wall.
Yeah, and dealing into that, and diving into that, and then once you kind of nail down the employee side of things and the logistics, then like you said, you can then go to marketing, and and I know that Lacey from Chickasaw Country was who put us together, and told me to reach out, and she obviously here in the travel department are doing great things for businesses like yourselves, helping out with exposure and getting it out there.
Oh, absolutely. That's the great thing about it. There's organizations, like they've got local organizations, and the Chickasaw's been great. Just keeping tourism going down here, because that's the lifeblood of this community, is, tourism to the lake and things like that, because not every place has, antlers, or for instance, they don't have like, I don't know what you do in antlers, probably hunt something, I would imagine. It's called antler after all. I'm just using it as an example.
Right.
But, there's a lot of promise here. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's a lot of money that comes in the summertime. And I just think if we could build something with shops and proper parking and make it like a proper downtown, who knows what it could be. But I just think it's coming with the casino and all that is coming. I can see everywhere I go, it's getting more and more. They're building more and more. Another building's coming in. Another place is coming in. There's going to be Arby's down there. There's going to be, in time, there's going to be stuff.
Yeah.
But as long as my thing is get here first before Starbucks or whatever, because it is going to come.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you build that. You have the connection, right? You have the story. You grew up there. You have all the things that, justify it to the local town, local community, because they'll know, and they're the ones that are going to support you when the tourists aren't there, right?
Yeah. The communities, that's why I opened it up right at the end of summer, because that way, if I would have opened it before summer, I would have been overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I would have, it'd have been too much. And so I opened it up at the end of, in the fall. And I know from my mom having a business here, a restaurant for 30 years, these are the downtimes. This is only really the community, the local community that's coming to your business, and the few occasional people that are driving through. So if you can get the community behind it and they like it, they'll support you. And I've seen it. I've got regulars coming in every day. So, they've been very supportive. So now I know what that is, and it's been growing slowly, surely, And and obviously when the summer comes here, I mean, it's kind of like you get that 4 month, 5 month ish area where you can really make a good, decent income.
Yeah.
Everything goes back into this. I don't think I'll ever make a dime from it. Looking at it, I'm like, it's all going right back into it, one way or the other.
Yeah.
But that's what's, like I said, I enjoyed it. I mean, I got the rock star stuff I do on the side. That's my side hustle. This is my main gig. Just making sure, because I'm telling you, creating jobs has been the coolest thing I've ever done. Like on my own, I just created a job. I created 5 jobs out of nowhere.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's like, as far as accomplishments go, yeah, I play drums in rock bands. I mean, but I've created jobs. I mean, to me, that's like even way cooler. I never thought I would say that. That sounds bizarre to the 26-year-old me.
Right.
One day you're going to really want to, be a member of the Chamber of Commerce and be the mayor of Kingston or something crazy. I'm like, what? But I mean, that's what's happened. Is like, it's really neat. And I'm, like I said, I just want to make sure my employees here have a good time and never want to leave,
Yeah, you're right. Because you think of yourself growing up there, right? And you think, if all the kids or the young man, young woman, whatever it is, it's going to be an employee of your business, and then they go on to go to university, and then they come back and work the summers, whatever it is. That you have those relationships now, but you have that opportunity to, like you said, to pay someone. Like, that's really, being in control of that's really, really a cool thing.
Yeah, and they're learning a pretty good trade, as far as a barista. I mean, Starbucks and what's the other one? Scooters and all these places, these quick drive-through, they're not actually pulling shots out there. Mm-hmm. There's like a push button electronic, it's all pre-done and blah, blah. It's like McDonald's, it's fast food coffee. Mm-hmm. Whereas like, we're more of like a steakhouse kind of thing, like where you're going to come in, we're putting, a lot of work into it, and we're pulling the espresso shots from fresh roasted coffee. It makes a difference, and our customers are willing to come in. I mean, we do online ordering, which has been a game changer. We just started doing that because that's nice, because you can order online, pay for it and everything. You come in, we've got it sitting right there for you, and you come in, you just grab it. It's actually quicker than a drive-through, to be honest. You just come up, walk in, grab it, get in your car and go. Eventually, I'd like to get those sliding windows so you don't even have to come in. But there's a lot of things I'm working on I got to implement, but just one step at a time. Don't get too ahead of myself.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I love it. I need to come down. Next time I'm passing through, I need to come and say hello and swing by and hang out and see those gold records on the wall.
Oh, yeah, I got a few of them. Like I said, they were in my basement in my house, and I never looked at them. I mean, I don't – what do I need to look – you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when we were talking about it with my friends, putting it here. Like I said, these are the people who need to see it. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of these people that come in here, I went to school with, and they've known me since I was, kindergarten through 12. My whole childhood, staying the night at their house, riding dirt bikes, going fishing with them, all the, and they followed my career. Obviously, I tell people, it's like, I'm going to be the biggest thing out of here until somebody plays football for the Sooners. And whenever that happens, I'll gladly pass them the baton over. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know. And that's the thing, like this, going back to that, this is where this stuff belongs. I mean, this is like, they're proud of me, and I can tell. And I mean, I'm sure they tell their friends, oh, I know that guy. I know him. I went to school with him. I'm sure they are. I mean, I would.
Right.
So, and it's neat for me to come back and visit with them and tell them how I've been and tell stories about the different things that's happened in my life. God knows I got tons of them. I talk about it all the time. My baristas are probably tired of it because they hear the same things over. They know them all by now.
Yeah, save it for the book, right?
Right, exactly. Save it for the book.
Yeah. We'll just do a bunch of interviews to video, and then you post them whenever you go to the pearly gates and meet the big man upstairs. You can leave the videos behind. Right. You don't have to deal with the destruction of telling stories, right?
Well, I got some good ones. Nothing too bad. There's a few crazy ones.
Yeah.
But my wife says I need to, like, if nothing else, just audio record it on a voice memo on my phone, because I'll remember these stories. Like, I forgot. Like, or I'll be talking to an old friend of mine, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Some of the craziest things. And I was like, oh, I forgot all about it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. And then it'll kind of, because I never took a journal. If I wish I would have wrote a journal, like, looking back on it now, I didn't know it was going to turn into all this stuff that's happened. But, like,
Yeah.
a lot of wild stories.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for an hour of your time, and safe travels on the road. I'll next time. Well, I probably won't be able to get down there before you leave, but whenever you're back in the fall after the tour, I'll come down. We'll have a cup of tea. Maybe we'll have a cup of tea as well, not just a cup of coffee. We'll have a cup of tea too.
Oh, we have tea. Where are you from?
Wales in the UK originally.
Ah, okay.
I am a coffee drinker, but I'll have tea too.
I haven't gone to Wales yet. Seems like I should have. I've been to England so many times. Scotland, Ireland. That's where I started drinking PG tips, the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
I got on a big kick with that, and I was like, oh, I get it, because tea wires me up more than coffee for some reason. It'll keep me up. Like, coffee, I can drink and go to sleep. Tea, it's a different animal.
Gosh, yeah.
Well, if you let me know, I'll make sure I got some PG tips in here for you.
All right. I'll look forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mike.
See you, mate. Bye.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.